pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please.
The clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Gendron?
Here.
Mr. Gignac?
Here.
Mr. Hoey?
Here.
Mayor Kennedy?
Here.
Ms. Martin?
Here.
Mr. Dakota?
Here.
Ms. Doherty?
Here.
7 present.
Mr. Gendron?
Mr. Mayor, I was going to suggest that we take the public hearing after we do the 3 wonderful Spotlight on Excellence programs we have for the committee tonight.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
All right, if there's no objection, we'll do that by general consent. Hearing no objection, so we'll begin with the Spotlight on Excellence for the 2017 Science and Engineering Fair.
Good evening. My name is Martha Cohn. I'm the coordinator of Science and Social Studies for Lowell Public Schools, and we are always proud to offer the Science and Engineering Fair program to all of our middle schools as part of a STEM club that happens after school. Students learn about many exciting things, real-world problems, learning about life skills from reading, writing, and math, and putting those into some independent research projects. A huge amount of gratitude needs to go to the STEM advisors that work with these students tirelessly, week after week, starting in September and finishing with our science fair that happened in February this year. We had over 250 middle school students that were part of our fair, 12 additional high school students, and over 123 projects. Over 50 volunteers from Maycom, Kronos, Fidelity, UMass Lowell, Fitchburg State College, Middlesex Community College, along with LPS staff, school committee members, community partners such as Mill City Grows and Aramark were judges for our fair. We are also very fortunate to be part of a pilot program through the Mass State Science and Engineering Fair, where we have a liaison for the mentors that work with each school, arranges for mentors from places like Maycom, Merrimack College, and they come in and work with our students to help alongside the advisors. So the winner of this year's science fair, we do an average of the average of the scores of all the projects was the Daly Middle School. They scored the highest overall average. They're winners of the trophy, which was created by Craig Kaminsky, who's one of our STEM support specialists, with a 3D printer. And I'll call up the advisors, Sue Wallace and Barbara Favell, to accept the trophy. So if we have a few minutes, I'd like to have some of the students come up, and we'll start with the Daly School. We have some students here that will come up, state their name and what their project was. Jaden, want to start?
Hi, my name is Jaden Brooks, and my project was Plenergy, which I turned plants into usable energy.
Some of our students will be participating in the regional fair. Jaden is one of them. That's happening on April 28th at UMass Lowell.
Hi, I'm Erin. I worked on brain power, which was about how the brain can read misspelled words and how the brain can correct as you read.
My name is Andrew Blaschke, and my project was what makes ice melt faster to help the people that are slipping on ice.
Good evening. My name is Krushi Patel. I'm from the Wang, and I've been part of the STEM club for 4 years now. And my project this year was on Alka-Seltzer dissolution. And throughout the years that I've been part of this, I've noticed that each year more and more students would come and join and would really like the STEM club. And this year we had over 40 students participate. So I'd really hope that you guys would consider keeping the program.
Hi,
Hi, my name is Arlene Tetulartine from the Wing Middle School.
And my name is Carla Carvajal.
And our project was about how oil spills can be cleaned up using nanotechnology, like using magnets.
This is my third year in STEM Club.
And this is my 4th year in STEM Club.
And over the years, I really enjoyed it. It was a nice way to get my creative side out and a nice outlet.
We hope to continue. We hope to volunteer there later when we go to high school, and we'd like the project. We'd like the program to stay there.
Hello, I'm Audrey DiLorenzo, and I tested people with music to see if they could become more accurate with math tests.
Thank you very much.
Excuse, did you want to bring everybody in for a photo?
Who's going to take it?
The next Spotlight on Excellence is for the Bartlett Community Partnership.
Hello, I'm Peter Holtz. I'm the principal of the Bartlett School. Very happy to be here for something wonderful tonight. I'm going to just introduce some people and then get out of the way because they're the ones that make it go. But this is, we're going to be highlighting or spotlighting one of the aspects of our partnership with UMass Lowell that's pretty tremendous. And to do that, I'd like to introduce Professor Jesse Hines, a retired professor of computer science from UMass Lowell. He's over here. I have our music teacher, Rachel Crawford, and our math teacher, Firas Al-Rakabi. We also have Mirza Garcia, who is a senior at UMass Lowell that's been working with the program, and Saif Al-Rakabi is one of our students, and I'd like to bring them up.
So I'm Rachel Crawford, as he said, the music teacher at the Bartlett Community Partnership School. And I'd like to, Dr. Jesse Hines is going to pass out to you an article that was in the Lowell Sun. Maybe you didn't know we were in the news today, especially. But in the Lowell Sun in January, we had a reporter come, so he'll just pass those articles out for you. But so our program is it was a 2-year after-school program called Teaching a Computer to Sing. Now, this was funded by a grant through the National Science Foundation, and this was the brainchild of Dr. Jesse Hines here. So we have some excellent people that we work with in our after-school program. We have Jesse Hines, as well as a professor named Dan Walzer, and he is our music professor that we work with, myself, the music teacher, and Firas Al-Rakabi, who is our math teacher. We have several UMass Lowell students from both the music as well as the computer science departments, and Mirza is our representative from there. And we have amazing Bartlett School students who give up hours every week of time they could be playing video games. But instead, they want to learn how to teach a computer to sing. And with that, what we do 2 days a week is we spend some time learning to sing and singing in harmony, multi-part singing. And then we give them a nice snack and a chance to do some homework and clear their minds. And then they come back and they do coding and computing. And basically they use, and I'll have our expert here tell all about that piece, but he and his colleagues help the students code the music, which then makes the computer sing back the parts that the kids have learned through the music. So definitely one hand washing the other, getting excited for singing, and then turning it around and being able to teach it to the computer and have it come back to it. So do you want to talk a little bit about some of the programs we use, or do we want to let the singing speak for itself?
To a movie show with a drink and popcorn, I'll be ready to go. Or we can rent a TV.
So that's just a little tiny snippet. I know we don't have a lot of time, but that's a song that Rachel picked that the students would sing. And so what we do is take a song like that and analyze it. And what we have here is the young man who did the Pledge of Allegiance coded this. The interesting thing about this is that it'll play part, this is just a tiny, I mean, we could code the whole song, but this will play just a tiny bit. You'll hear there's a first and second ending here. Now it's going to change. So you hear that, one time it went up and then it came down at the end. And the difference here is, right, I don't know if you can see it on here, we can't do this computer and that computer and that computer sound, so I got my own laptop here. So anyway, what the difference here is that we have a loop. So a loop is a basic concept in computer science. Then we have what's called ABC notation, and notating, of course, is a basic concept in computer science, translating things into code that the computer can understand. And here we have an if statement, which is called a Boolean expression. So if x is 1, do this, else x is 2, and each time else do this other thing. So that's one little example right there. We have, are they not on? They're on, but they're extraordinarily loud. Extraordinarily loud, huh? Okay. Well, we don't really need, that's okay. I can turn the microphone off?
We just really wanted you to hear it, feel it even.
Okay, so this web page right here is actually for this is for a workshop, that's why it says workshop, that Rachel and I and Faraz Al-Rakabi and my colleague at UMass Lowell, Dan Walzer, we're teaching this workshop twice. We're going out actually tomorrow to Albany to that's the Computer Consortium of New England. It's an educational conference, and then we're going down to Washington. We've been accepted there as well. And Rachel, you have the workbook that I showed you?
It's actually sitting
put
right
over
there.
Okay. So we have, yeah, I just brought one. So we put together a workbook. Last year we made a CD.
We do very few performances. We did one live concert for the school, which was televised, which was wonderful. But we really wanted to make sure every parent and family member was able to hear the great work that their children were doing. So we had some of the singing tracks that we had recorded, as well as its corresponding coded tracks. And I think there was one student that, was it 24 copies? 22 copies so made sure everyone in their family knew exactly what they were up to.
So we have that, and this is the book we made that all the participants in our workshops will get a book like this. So we're funded by the National Science Foundation. The program actually ends next month. But an interesting thing I was just telling Rachel about, which she didn't know, was that based on this work, I got invited and I went down just Monday. I was at the Museum of Science, where they're putting together a program for K-3. They wanted to look at our work and see what we're But I'm just saying, the program has recognition, is what I'm trying to say, beyond just Lowell and UMass.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Do you want to come in for a photo too?
Do you want your daughter? You want Ami in there?
And the next spotlight on excellence is for the Lowell High School hockey team.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of this committee, and Mr. Superintendent, members of Central Administration. Thank you for your gracious invitation this evening. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Lowell High Schools and the Lowell Sun Coach of the Year for ice hockey, Mr. Brian Occasion.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Superintendent, members of the school committee, as Mr. DeProfio said, I'm Brian Occasion. I'm fortunate enough to be the head ice hockey coach at Lowell High School. And I'd like to thank the school committee and the central administration for their support of the hockey program, because 3 years ago, before I got this job, it was a little question whether we'd even have a hockey program. And when I got hired, the goal was to make the Lowell High hockey program to be role models on the ice, in the community, and as classmates. And I think we're reaching that goal. We are lucky to have a great head of school in Brian Martin and an athletic director in Jim DeProfio that provides us with everything that we need to run a successful hockey program. And I believe that we have a great coaching staff. You know, I'm invested in Lowell High School. My grandfather was a housemaster. My mother was a housemaster. My mother was a teacher. Coach Tobin is a graduate, and his uncle is sitting on the school committee. And my brother's a coach, and Rob Hunt, who his wife is a teacher in the system and has 3 kids in the system. We all are devoted to Lowell High School, so we all want to see the hockey program succeed. And with that, we have great parents that are all up here that raise a ton of money and allowed us this year. We went to Highgate, Vermont, which is 10 miles from the Canadian border, to play in a tournament, to send 30 kids away and put them up and provide meals and everything, all from the parents' backing. So I'd like to thank the parents for allowing us to do that. We treat the ice hockey rink as an extension of the classroom, and this year we did summer reading as a team. And we all read a book, and we all did weekly worksheets discussing each chapter of the book. And everyone was required to submit them, and we had full participation from the team. And that allowed us to get a good start of having a positive attitude on the ice and in the classroom and in the community. Additionally, which I think is the most important thing that we've done, the last 2 years we've raised money for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. And this year, through the efforts of the parents, coaches, and players, we raised over $6,000. So it was a great, great effort by the entire Lowell High School community, and especially all the players. Now, when it comes to academics, we have a lot of members of the National Honor Society, and I'm proud to say that all 10 seniors will be going to college. So that's really a great feather in our cap for our program. Now, all the off-ice stuff is absolutely fantastic, but ultimately, all these guys play to win hockey games. And 2 years ago, we were 2-17-1. Last year, we were 3-14-3. And this year, after being the 9 seed in the state tournament, which Lowell High School hadn't made for a couple years, we ended up winning the championship. So that was really a great effort by everybody involved, and I think we caught a lot of people by surprise, but no one in this room was surprised. None of the parents were surprised because they knew all the hard work that we had put in. And we had some great individual performances. We had an all-conference member in Thomas Hassett. We had 6 MVC All-Stars, Ben Aslin, Connor Barter, Brendan DeMarco, Matthew Aslin, Tyler Doucette, and Patrick Cody. We had the first Boston Herald All-Scholastic in Lowell High hockey history with Thomas Hassett. And we also had 3 Lowell Sun All-Stars, Thomas Hassett, Ben Aslin, and Patrick Cody. So we had some great individual honors, but probably the biggest individual honor we had was our captain, Casey Sheehy, was awarded the League Sportsmanship Award. Out of all the teams, there's 7 teams in our league, he was selected among all the players, and it's actually an award his brother won, so being a good sportsman runs in the family. But last night, he got to represent our league in Lowell High School at the Bruins game, met Cam Neely and represented Lowell High School, so that was a great honor for him. Good job, Casey. What I'd like to do is have everyone come up and introduce themselves, and we have, because of the wisdom of the school committee, we have a couple of 8th graders, which have been a great addition to our program, and they will also introduce themselves.
My name is Jacob Harquist, and I'm an 8th grader at the Sullivan Middle School.
My name is Sean Spring, and I'm an 8th grader at the Wang Middle School.
My name is Brendan Broderick, and I'm a junior at Lowell High.
My name is Connor Barter, and I'm a senior.
My name is Nicholas Mandeville, and I'm a freshman.
My name is Brandon Grace, and I'm in 8th grade at the Sullivan Middle School.
My name is Matthew Aslin. I'm a freshman at Lowell High School.
My name is Hunter Neville, and I'm a junior at Lowell High School.
My name's Cam Troll, and I'm a freshman at Lowell High.
My name's Ben. My name is Ben Aslin, and I'm a sophomore.
My name is Andrew Kotzfist. I'm a sophomore.
My name is Ryan Kay, and I'm a junior.
My name is Tyler Kotzfist, and I'm a senior.
My name's Brendan DeMarco, I'm a freshman.
My name's Casey Sheehy, and I'm a senior this year.
My name's Andrew Carabas. I'm a sophomore.
My name's Sam Perry, and I'm a senior.
My name's Zach Sedon, and I'm a junior.
And my name's Will Bazemore. I'm a senior.
We had a couple of other players that were unable to make it due to spring sports, and I just want to read off their names. And Lillian Petrillo, Thomas Hassett, Tyler Doucette, Jonathan Hebert, Mark Beelan, Patrick Cody, and Peter Stylos. And Cole Conlon, who's sitting over there, he's on the team. He didn't get up or anything. Thank you for having us.
Coach, can you bring the whole team in and we
Sure.
can do a photo?
He's just working on the motions.
All right, now we'll open up the public hearing for the interdistrict school choice program and open up the hearing for those who wish to speak in favor. Is there anybody who wishes to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? In favor? Hearing none? We'll close the hearing on behalf of the proponents and open it up for those who wish to speak in opposition. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition? 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 Hearing none, we'll close the hearing, open it up to the school committee. Mr. Gendron.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Superintendent, I was just wondering, we did this last year, did we not? And could you just comment a little bit on the success or the status of the program?
Yes, we do. We did this last year. We have to do this every year to continue it. Last year when we did it, we had also 30 open slots, and I believe we occupied, we had 15 taken so far, so in its first year. And I think it's pretty good.
And in doing it, are we required to accept students? Like if somebody from another community wants to come to Lowell and we have an open spot, are we required to accept them?
If they fit all the conditions, yeah.
Okay.
That's the idea behind school choice, yeah.
Okay. And what if there's more than 30?
No, we can't take more than 30.
No, but I mean, what if you have more than 30 applicants? Is there a
then we do a lottery.
process, but
we
have a
didn't
lottery?
have to do a lottery last year because they were under 30.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any, Mr. Gignac?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know Mr. Frisch isn't here, but at least once a meeting I like to correct him. The memo indicates that a public hearing be held on March 15th, which was last month. So I don't know if we need to repost it, but it wasn't properly posted, so we should probably do this again next meeting. Just I don't know if the clerk might know, but it says March 15th.
Why don't we just carry on as if it's okay? Check it out with the law department.
Okay.
And if it isn't, then we'll do it again.
Okay.
Any further discussion? So the chair would entertain a motion to recommend that the Lowell Public School System participate in the Inter-District School Choice Program for grades 9 through 12 for the 2016-2017 school year, and also to allot but not to exceed 30 students within grades 9 through 12. We have a motion by Mr. Dakota to that effect, seconded by Mr. Hoey. Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Gendron?
Yes.
Mr. Gignac?
Yes.
Mr. Hoey?
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Dakota?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
7 yeas, approved.
Before I go any further, I would like to introduce Cole Conlon, who's already been introduced with the hockey team, but he is the student representative for this evening. So, Cole, I don't know if you have anything to say, or you want to just, you're all set? Okay. All right, so we have the minutes of the regularly scheduled school committee meeting for Wednesday, March 15th for approval. A motion by Mr. Hoey, seconded by Mr. Gignac to approve the minutes and place them on file. Discussion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted. Next, we have permission to enter. Is there a motion to approve? Motion approved by Mr. Gignac, seconded by Mr. Hoey. Any discussion? Ms. Martin.
Thank you. I was just hoping you could get a description of the EFI Global, the cost of asbestos hazard emergency response. Is this just a reinspection, or is there any work that's actually being done for that?
If I may, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Frisch explained to me that this is something that we have to do, I believe, every 3 years. And so this is just a redo.
Just an inspection, though, not a...
An inspection. There's nothing irregular, just normal business.
Any, Mr. Gendron?
Just a clarification, Mr. Superintendent, I see the Jeanne d'Arc Credit Union has a $0 transfer here. I'm wondering why, what's the purpose of that?
It's again, the explanation given is that it's a program. It doesn't really cost us anything, but we still have to get the permission of the school committee to enter with them into that agreement, even though it's a zero cost.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Gendron?
Yes.
Mr. Gignac?
Yes.
Mr. Hoey?
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Dakota?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
7 yeas, approved.
Next, we have 3 memorials on the agenda for this evening. The first one is for Ellen C. Golden, the mother of Thomas A. Golden, Massachusetts State Representative, and mother-in-law of Kenneth Trott, Pine School Arts Custodian. And for Stephen O'Brien, husband of Cheryl O'Brien, Special Education Executive Secretary, and father-in-law to Lynn O'Brien, Pawtucketville Memorial School Teacher. And for William A. Merrill, retired Lowell High School History Teacher and Guidance Counselor. Next, we have school committee motions. The first motion is by Mr. Gignac, request that the superintendent work with the city administration to develop a plan and update and/or update on the capital improvement funds that were allocated for the schools. Seconded by Mr. Hoey. Mr. Gignac.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The motion pretty much speaks for itself. I believe you had notified the school committee and the city school administration that there were some funds allocated for boiler repairs and roof repairs. And I recently visited a school site council where the main focus was facility issues. So they had requested that I bring this motion forward for an update, as we get closer to the warmer months. Air conditioning is an issue. The boilers, are not functioning at the school, and the roof is continuing to leak. And I believe this was one of the schools that was supposed to be slated on that list of capital improvements. So if we could just get a report fairly soon would be great.
Mr. Superintendent?
We could give you a report, or I could give you a verbal report right now, whichever you want. The verbal reports, we checked into this. They did looked in at that time at the priority of the problem that we had. At the time they did, meaning they, the city department, the maintenance department, they had identified boilers. That was the critical point at that time. By the time they did all the process of RFP and all that there is to do, we are now told that the repairs to those boilers will occur in May. And so we did alert them that May is also where our AC starts becoming an issue. So I'm not so sure what, because there is a whole process of procurement that needs to take place. So I'm not so sure we can stop the process of the boilers and restart something in a hurry for the AC. That was brought up to my attention yesterday.
Mr. Gignac?
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Superintendent, for the response. Can you look into the roof repairs? Because I recall the money was specifically for boiler and roof repairs. This roof at the Daly School is the school that invited me, and the roof has been leaking there since I was a student there. And it's something that needs to be addressed. And, you know, I don't know if you have an answer for that tonight, but if you could look into the roof repairs district-wide as well as a plan for this money would be helpful.
Any further discussion? If not, the amount of money in the capital budget, I believe is $475,000. If there's no further discussion, all in favor of the motion, all opposed, so voted. The next motion in the evening is by Ms. Martin, requesting an update on the plan for recruiting and hiring a new head of school for Lowell High School, including a proposed timeline for assembling the interviewing committee and any public sessions that will be part of the process. There is a registered speaker on that. It's your prerogative if you want to go first or wait. Registered speaker. Registered speaker.
I'm Jonathan Richmond, founder of Takeoff Space, a charity to help talented Lowell High School kids get to college, and I have a background in educational practice and research that includes development of special programs to motivate and engage Asian students, and I have a refereed article published in a leading international journal on that subject. Before I get to my main issue today, let me just say regarding the proposal to arrange free LRTA passes for Lowell High School students that it makes far more sense to negotiate a comprehensive deal with LRTA to cover everyone, as UMass Lowell has done, than to add the administrative burden of means testing to prove need. Now, I want to make sure the process to hire a new Lowell High School head is driven by merit, not politics. Let me explain why the school committee and district cannot be trusted to undertake the process without special protections. Brian Martin was an unqualified political appointee who has done horrible damage to the children of Lowell. Not only that, but the school district and committee is deeply at fault for failing to discipline and terminate Martin for his disgraceful response to an incident of racism instigated by committee member Gendron's son, for which an external review of Martin should have been arranged given the obvious conflict of interest.
Can he do this? We're here talking about Ms. Martin's motion right here.
Yes, we are talking about the
Well,
motion.
I think you're going off base to
No,
me a
I'm not.
little
I'm
bit.
explaining why we need a
Okay.
special attention.
Can you try to do that without being so negative about?
And I'm afraid I have the right to point these abuses out, which is why we need the program about, but I'm almost finished with it. I just wanted to point out that while the abused student was asked to move on by the school, Gendron's son was allowed to attend.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like a point of order. Yeah. This man is out of line. Please address it.
You are out of line.
All right, I'll then get to my main point and ignore all the rest of the
The
comment.
reason that I hold you to the 3 minutes and not anybody else on the city council or the school committee is because of the way that you are.
I have a right to tell the truth.
Proceed. You have the right to speak, but you don't have the right to come in and just slander people without.
No, I have the
and then
right
just
to
go and
tell the
sit
truth,
down.
Your Honor. But anyway, let me continue. We need a process. We need a process. I mean, again, I should also mention Bob Hoey recently
Yeah,
went
I'm
on
a white
record
supremacist.
to the
Thank you
Lowell
very
Sun.
much. Keep going.
He said that white men should not be forgotten in education.
That's right.
Well, well, then you should not be involved with the process.
That's okay. We should think of all people. All people.
Okay. We need a process with guaranteed independence until the point of recommending final selection. We must hire a prominent national educational headhunting firm to advertise the appointment widely and scour the nation to attract the best candidates. As I detail in my handout that I'd ask your honor to kindly make part of the record, candidates must be prominent teachers or counselors who have held senior administrative positions. They must have proven success at developing innovative educational programs and raising the academic achievement of at-risk kids. They must know about, be sensitive to, and prepared to engage with the social and mental health issues affecting so many students and their families in Lowell. They must respect parents and draw them into the experience. They must be advocates for students in every way, promote social mobility, and breathe understanding and friendship into every corner of the school. The hiring task force must be diverse and include prominent educational researchers working on issues of at-risk educational needs, senior administrators from schools that have succeeded in attaining educational excellence for at-risk kids, Lowell after-school program
That's 3 minutes. You're over the time. The next speaker.
Well, you're abusing your role, but I will sit down and obey you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Superintendent, members of the school committee. How are you? I am here to speak about the qualities necessary for a successful Lowell High School headmaster. So to begin, my name is Daniel Ook. I am a graduate from UMass Lowell and also from Lowell High School. And I do have just a few bullet points that if I could suggest to the committee concerning choosing a new Lowell High School headmaster. For the most part, I believe a headmaster must have an understanding of a few certain criteria, one being the concept of data disaggregation concerning academic statistical inferences. For the most part, data disaggregation is part of the shared Asian American national forefront concerning academia and studies. For the most part, in the United States, Asian American communities are often misunderstood and often generalized into statistics, being Asian American statistics concerning, say, graduation rates, concerning certain criteria in, say, math and sciences. And that sort of marginalizes extreme communities that are put into that sort of typecast as just broadly Asian American. That includes Southeast Asian communities, South Asian communities, and even now West Asian communities coming in as immigrants and refugees to the United States. I do believe a headmaster must understand that, especially coming into Lowell High School, wherein the majority are Latino and various Asian American communities, again, are often quite misunderstood. I do believe the headmaster must, concerning going on into the mid-1st century, around the 2040s, American demographic is coming to a change for the most part. It's a new American face, and you see this with our students just coming into the education system. A lot of Hispanic, Latino students and Asian American students, they're going to be the future. In the 2040s, majority of Americans are going to be of Hispanic, Latino, and Asian American descent. And so with that understanding, our headmaster must have more inclusive ethnic studies programming courses. In my opinion, Eurocentric history and studies is non-inclusive, and colonization does not count as inclusive and does not apply to many people. For example, I'm Cambodian American. My people have been here since 1980, after the genocide during my grandparents' and my parents' time. For the most part, having entered into the United States from 1980, there really isn't a connection to, say, the Revolutionary War, the American Revolution. And for the most part, that sort of history courses sort of speaks to a specific set amount of Americans. And in order to push forward into the mid-21st century, at least for the new American face, there needs to be sort of new curriculum for that. So my point, relevant curriculum is needed as we push forth into the 2040s, should we choose to stray from the nationalist child indoctrination we currently know as U.S. history class. And I do stress the importance to have an independent selection committee. I don't believe we need another political appointee. We have enough of that in state and local legislature. But it is integral for a new headmaster to be appointed by merit, as that sets a standard for the entire high school and a face for the academic school system in the city. An appointment based on political connection sort of defeats the purpose of academia. There isn't an emphasis on hard work. And I do ask you, what would we be telling our students if they were to ask their headmaster for the most part?
You're at 4.5 minutes. You're way over. So can you wrap it up?
Of course. All right. So I'll conclude with just this. When it comes to education, we are the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We are the Mill City. And in our current political climate concerning education, we must continue our commitment to excellence in everything we do, whether it's academics, activities, or citizenship. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Martin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, obviously, I had placed this motion on so that we could get a written outline of what the proposed plan is. That will give us an opportunity to see kind of what the timeline is, and then as a committee and certainly as a community, we can make any adjustments or additions that we want to make. So I'm hoping that we might be able to see that. I know that our meeting has been canceled, right, for the 19th. Is that the next one? So we won't have an opportunity until May? Is that accurate?
That would be accurate unless we call a special meeting.
Mm-hmm. Well, if it's not prepared, if we can't present it tonight, I mean, I do think we need to see it. I don't want to reschedule a meeting simply for this one thing, but I defer to everyone. I suspect we all are concerned about this. And I don't think we can legitimately wait until May if we're expecting to have someone in place in September. So if anyone has any opinions on that.
Mr. Superintendent?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. We do have a plan, but I would like to ask a question. I'm not really sure what is the intent of that motion, because from my understanding, under the law, the responsibility of hiring principals is the responsibility of the superintendent. Is it the intent of this committee to modify that? And I'm sure, because we do have a plan, we follow the plan, and we have a timeline. We cannot wait until May. The plan is we have a task force that we are going to be forming of
Prepared to share that with
members.
us?
Sure, of course, yeah. I think we have no problem sharing. It's going to be process is pretty transparent. I think we're in the process of completing the task force of 15 members representing various parts of the community, representing this body, representing the city council, representing the city side, because this is the high school will be also a major project for this person to manage. So we felt we felt that the need to involve also our colleagues from the city side. So we do have such a plan, and we're happy to share it with you in detail. But I did not know that this, at least I'm not know. I know that from the law, this was not requiring any school committee or community approval for that matter. What we have in that plan is we have the normal two-part that we always do, which is the first part. You have applicants that apply. You have a committee that does the screening and the initial interviews, presents a panel of whatever, 3 to 5 usually, and then these will be presented for final interviews. We also have, as part of the plan, is to have these finalists have what we call community forums. They'll have forums with parents to come and ask questions of these finals. We have also forums that involve the school committee members can come and ask. We have forums with teachers, forums with the students, and then we plan to collect feedback. It'll be written questionnaires that ask of the people who were present to fill up the questionnaires and give us their feedback. All this feedback is now, it will be then channeled to the team that will be interviewing the finalists. And that team that will be interviewing the finalists is, we know what it is right now. I can tell you, we haven't finalized the initial screening team, but the final team is the superintendent, the assistant superintendent, the mayor, and the city manager. That's what we have done as a team.
Thanks. So just to ask, that sounds like a wonderfully transparent process. It would be great if we could see that
Sure.
written out. That would be really helpful. Your list includes school committee membership. Have you already requested school committee membership on this?
Yes.
Who was
we
it that
do.
you asked? Who's going to be a member of your committee?
We
I don't
have-
know.
We
I'm
have
not
Mr.
familiar.
Dakota.
Oh, Mr. Dakota was asked? Was he asked in I'm not sure of what that process is.
The process is me asking him because I asked Mr. Dakota because Mr. Dakota has the advantage of representing the school committee, but he also has probably more history of working within the school, so he's very knowledgeable about the working condition of the school, so he will bring in a richer voice.
So that will be included in your write-up, the reason for your
Our write-up will
decision-making?
not only be included and shared with you, but our write-up will be on the website.
Okay, so at some point, I mean, having made this motion over 2 weeks ago, I had hoped that we might be able to have something in writing to be able to review. As, you know, I know timing is what it is, so I think it would be in all of our best interest in this transparent process for it to be transmitted to us, ourselves and the public, in a timely way so that there can be some feedback. I don't think any member of this committee, and I will say for myself, I am not looking to be on this committee. That is not my intent, but my intent is that we need to be very clear about how this process is going to be laid out, who the participants are going to be, and when the public forums are going to be scheduled. Because I think it's absolutely, in our past selections, we have gone to great lengths to ensure that parents had an opportunity, that the school community had an opportunity. These are all things that, as you're listing them, sound great, but if it is in a formal packet of what the plan is, it makes it much easier for anyone to be able to look at this process and recognize what you're describing as a transparent process.
Right.
Thank you.
When we did, just to give you more information, I did call personally on the radio when the show and in
I'm
various...
sorry, I don't listen to the
in
radio, so I
various-
didn't hear it.
But you're not, you let me finish and then you'll know that you didn't have to listen to it. When I spoke on the radio, I made a call to all the parents, anybody interested. I also, in various places that I did, and we circulated it, we've already received several parents volunteering, they volunteered their names to be part of it. And it's a very open process, and to address those people who think this is going to be political. I'm not a political appointee. There'll never be a political appointee appointed by me. I can assure you that. So it will be a very open process and very transparent. We have parents who will be on that search committee. We have teachers on that search committee. We have students will be on the search committee. We try to represent as many of the stakeholders of the high school. And it
We'll
will
look
be
forward-
posted on the website.
I'll look forward on the website then. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Gendron.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think that the next motion that I listed is kind of in the same vein here, in an effort to sort of understand your process. And certainly we don't seek to circumvent your authority to appoint the head of school. So that is clearly something that's within your domain, and that's the way it should be. But indeed, we want to make sure that there's community input. Has the task force been formed? Is it finalized?
And the reason that all the names have not been released is because we're in the process. Ask for parents to volunteer. We've had already several volunteers. The closing of the posting does not close until the 27th of April. So we're not rushing to rush people. We want to make sure that people get a chance. If they want to volunteer, they present their name. Same thing for teachers who would like to be part of it. Same thing for students. I'm waiting for I don't know all the students, obviously. I'm not the one who's picking the students. I'm asking teachers. I'm asking headmaster himself. We're asking the head of school, the house deans to recommend students. So all this process is currently taking place.
Sure.
And all I can tell you right now, it is a two-step process. It's the typical two-step process that everyone follows, every school district, screening committee, and blind. We're not doing any screening, and there is no screening in the central office. Since I've been appointed, we have never done screening in central office, which was the practice in the past. We had abolished that practice. When application come, they go, all the applications go to the screening committee. And they get a chance to screen. That's why we don't call it just search committee or selection committee. It's also a screening committee.
Okay.
And there are 15 people, as I said, and as we complete that list, it will be posted. The meetings will be, the first round is always confidential to protect the identity of the candidates, obviously, who do not get selected. The second round is going to be extremely open and public because we plan to hold several forums, as I said, for parents, teachers, students, community members, name it, and you're welcome to attend any one of them.
So, so if there's somebody out there that would like to be part of this committee, they can send a letter to the
Absolutely.
Superintendent's office? Is that the protocol?
Either to
Letter
myself
or an email?
or to our Director of HR.
Okay. So they could send a letter or an email to you or Mr. Cassidy? Is that?
No.
Ms. Shi, excuse me.
And you know, the posting has been up and running. I have notified you all via email when we posted all the positions. I had sent an email to all, and the posting is nationwide, and we have already received several applications.
Great, okay, so, so I think that if you could sort of lay that out in you know, your kind of protocol, your plan of action here, sounds like you're well on the way, so that's good. And send it to us, you know, in the next few days. I think that if we feel that it's necessary to reconvene to discuss it, then we can do that. Otherwise, we can move on. So I'm satisfied with that, Mr. Mayor. I think, oh, one other thing I wanted to mention is, you know, I think that it would be a good idea, and perhaps the head of school has already suggested this, that we reach out to the Friends of Lowell High School to see if they would like to have a representative, and some of the other groups, community, MAA, the CBA, and organizations like that, who have obviously a vested interest in
I did have a discussion with him this morning, and he suggested it, and it's an excellent suggestion.
Also, the Lowell plan, you know, the radio's good, but it's really not a comprehensive way to get the word out to the community. So I think it's important to reach out directly to these organizations and make sure that UMass Lowell, Middlesex Community College, generally we have representatives from those institutions on as well. Okay, thank you. Mr. Mayor, I think that my motion is covered, so I'd like to withdraw that from the agenda if possible.
Thank you.
Ms. Doherty.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a few comments. I want to say that for me, I thought the motion was a good idea because the time was going by quickly, and I really was just looking for communication about what the plan was, what the timeline was, but absolutely the decision falls in your hands. One thing that I would say that's important to me, and I think we heard it from the speakers here, we are a very diverse school population, as you know. I think it's one of our greatest strengths. Is the diversity of our children and what that allows when they learn from each other that way and they participate in education together. And I know one of your strategic plans is to increase the diversity of our staff. My request or my, I guess, recommendation would be when you look at the makeup of the task force, to really have a concerted effort that the task force is more representative of the body of our students. That, you know, we have many wonderful people who are very actively involved in our community, and I'm sure that you're getting a lot of people who would like to be on the task force, and you've got to limit the number. 15 itself seems a bit unwieldy, but to just keep that, and I know that is also a value that you share in terms of, you know, getting representation that is going to be a mirror of our student body. That would be my personal thoughts on that. And I look forward to getting more information about the task force and the timeline and the public hearings. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the motion? Mr. Hoey.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I think this school committee has done wonderful in the past year working on diversity. I think some of the things Ms. Sheehy's done all by herself is incredible. But getting back to the motion, I don't want to get off point. I'd like to, but I'm not going to. I'm not a fan of this motion, and the reason being is I feel like I only have 4 powers sitting here. The budget, negotiations, hiring, firing that man right there, and writing some policy. That's all I think I should be doing. Sometimes I look at these motions and it seems to me we're micromanaging the guy. We got to let him do his job. And for me, I can't support this motion. I'm just going to leave it at that. I think it's up to him and his HR office to bring forward who they want, pick somebody and move on. If we don't like what he's doing, let's get rid of him. I think he did a fine job handling the issue that one of the speakers wanted to talk about at the high school. I think every one of us here should have said thank you for what he pulled Lowell out of. That's how I feel. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call on the motion?
Mr. Gendron?
Yes.
Mr. Gignac?
Yes.
Mr. Hoey?
No.
Mayor Kennedy?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Dakota?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
6 yeas, 1 nay, approved.
The next motion is 7.4 by Ms. Martin, requesting an update on the staffing plans for principals and assistant principals for the fiscal year 2017 and fiscal year 2018 budgets. Ms. Martin.
Thank you very much. Just looking to get an update from the administration.
Second motion, Mr. Holt?
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sure, no, you probably don't want to, right?
Did you?
Pick someone else, I'm sure.
Mr. Gignac seconds the motion.
I'd second the motion. I didn't know, I didn't even know if someone did second it. I'm thinking about what to say on this next motion. That's,
Go ahead.
Great. So what I'm hoping to do is get some information on what the staffing patterns are planned for next September. You know, I think anytime, you know, this time of year, there are a lot of rumors that are floating around. This year, it seems particularly heightened that there's, and I know they can't be true. I mean, so I'll just say that right now. But I do think that there needs to be some clear communication that, you know, we're not, that there's not the kind of changes that coming from so many different directions that I've been hearing about. So I know that that can't be the case, but I think it would be great to get the information out there so that everyone can be clear about where the leadership is going, who's going to be, you know, which principals are going to be at which schools, so, you know, we can kind of be clear that there's not going to be, you know, what we'll be looking at in September. So if we could get that from the administration, so we all have a clear sense of what we'll be looking at in September, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor of the motion, all opposed, so voted. The next motion is by Ms. Doherty. Request that the superintendent provide the committee with the DESE School Climate Survey, along with recommendations as to whether we should implement this survey or some other instrument. The recommendation should also include timelines for beginning to collect baseline data about school climate, family involvement, and other aspects that address the education of the whole child. Second by Mr. Gignac. Ms. Doherty.
Thank you, Ron. I think the motion kind of speaks for itself. It really goes back to, again, our strategic goals and looking at the education of the whole child and how we are going to measure our progress in that. I know that this survey just came out of the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. I haven't seen it, but I know there was all this talk about it. And I really just want to kind of get a sense if this is something that you think will be using in our schools to help measure school climate, or if you have other plans for looking at those other aspects of being able to measure how we're doing in educating the whole child. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Superintendent?
I may ask for a clarification because we might be talking about a couple different things. There is a survey that the DESE has now made it a part of a student survey as part of the AMCAS, that they ask them at the end of the AMCAS. No superintendent and no administrator I know of is in favor or favorable to that. When you're asking the kids after taking the whole test and they're tired and you start asking them questions, you know what the answer is going to be. So you're just wasting your time. So, but I don't think we have any choice in that one. Are you referring to that one, or are you, there is another one that they have not come up with yet necessarily. I know because I've been working personally with the assistant commissioner on that. I'm part of a team of 3, assistant commissioner and 2 of us, and we're connecting with other groups that are doing similar things. I wasn't aware that they have released a final one yet on that. Please.
There,
yes.
Thank you. There is a draft plan that the consortium has put together. Actually, I reviewed it with several administrators at the district level this past week. We did a comparison of that survey along with the MCAS survey, and also some other surveys that we've been looking at that have been provided to us statewide. And we're trying to, specifically about the social emotional piece, and how do we measure students' resiliency, their grit, their ability to persevere, their self-efficacy, their belief in themselves. So there are some very pointed questions. So also the district is working with Hanover Research. So we're trying to make sure that we can capitalize on the best questions. And we're probably not going to get it absolutely perfect first time out, but we know that we need to start measuring. The current surveys that are part of the MCAS are at grades 5, 8, and 10, I believe. And we want to make sure that we also are able to capture our elementary school children and their perception of their schools and be able to give the feedback directly to the schools so that we can disaggregate by school and also look at it district-wide.
So to respond, I wasn't advocating for any particular survey. I had heard about, I didn't realize it was required. They're making them do it?
The kids can elect not to answer.
Oh,
You can't force
okay.
them, but.
But for me, it was just prompting that idea, like, when do we start to collect this baseline data? And I'm really just looking for your recommendations, what your plans are, again, just to communicate to us, you know, what you're thinking of and what the timeline would be. Because in order to be able to measure it, you have to start measuring somewhere. So that just prompted me when I had heard about this new survey to think, well, what does the administration think about this? Is this a direction you want to go in, or have you got another plan to start to collect this data so we can look at, you know, things like social and emotional development of our students, school climate, culture. These are all going to be other aspects we'll be graded on, you know, in addition to our test scores, which are always important.
We have not brought anything yet because there are 3 efforts going on. A couple of them that Deputy Durkin explained. There is the state is working as part of a national effort with the university, with Johns Hopkins University, a group of researchers to about 1 survey, several groups. We're part of a consortium in Massachusetts. We're working with another group on it, and the 2 have been put together to work together, and then, you know, and then there is yet the 3rd one that you mentioned, and we're trying to come up with something, and then when we do, we will definitely bring it here for, you know, review and get feedback before we finalize.
So are you thinking that this would happen in the next 5 months, or, I mean, will we be implementing something in the next school year? What is the?
We're anticipating, we're in conversation with all of those parties that we just discussed at this time, and we want to make sure that we're capturing not only student information but staff information, because as I've mentioned at previous meetings, when we have happy, relaxed and supported staff, that our students fare better as well. So it'll be a staff survey, a student survey, and also parents. So we're looking at those 3 components, and we're hoping that we can get something put together for at least the end of the year. And we're also hoping that we can have everything translated in our major languages for our families and students.
Mr. Gignac.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a few weeks ago, or a month or so ago, I had put on a motion about an organizational health survey, so I think it ties in well while that's being developed. But I have a question for the administration. I had worked, I didn't even work on it, but a school site council had developed a survey over a couple of months, and they were really excited to release it to the school, and at some point they were told no. So I'm just curious, is there anything that prevents schools from doing their own surveys on any type of topic?
Well, unless if it's a survey that's endorsed by the school committee that we're going to distribute all the schools, and it's fully approved and vetted through the process. I think there should be no problem. If it's something that comes from the PTO or a site council wanting to do that, I think they're usually working with the principal, and I'm not sure.
Well, the principal is a part of the site council and was supportive of it.
So who told them no? If they're,
I don't know who told them no, but I received.
I think I know the school you're referring to.
Yeah.
I can reach out to them.
I don't know who told them no, but I know that it wasn't released. And it was something that there was a lot of thought put into the questions, and there was a lot of thought put into the timing of it because of testing and when surveys that go out, and then everybody was excited to launch it, and then it was nixed. So, you know, I'm just curious.
I think I know the school. I'll inquire tomorrow why
Okay.
was it I mean, nothing had come to us necessarily that we said, no, you can't
Well,
do it.
that's a problem then. Okay,
Yeah.
because that was something that, you know, I was told central office nixed it, and you know, the site council worked pretty hard on that, and it's parents, it's teachers, it's the administrators of the building, and I think that gives us real information on how the students feel in their school building, how the staff feel in their school building, and how the families feel with their overall experience. So you can look into that, but I think the survey that Ms. Doherty and the administration were just discussing, I think is a good idea, because it's difficult for us to get feedback in any fashion. So the more we get, the better. But thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, all opposed, so voted. The next motion is by Mr. Gender, and requests that the superintendent work with the city and the LRTA to develop a program to provide free bus passes to Lowell High School students based on financial need. Second by Mr. Dakota. There's a registered speaker, but it's your prerogative if you want to go first, Mr. Gender.
Sure, we'll hear from him.
Okay.
Mayor, I actually made my point briefly in the earlier presentation, which was simply that UMass Lowell has already started a program like this, and they're making it available to all students and faculty. And in my view and experience, it's probably going to be much more efficient to try and do a similar program for the school rather than to have means testing, and I think you'll get a better deal from the LRTA. Thank you.
Mr. Gender.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a motion that actually came out of the Accommodations, Student Services, and Finance Subcommittee the other night, but I thought I'd put it on the agenda just for emphasis. The comment was made that by a teacher at the high school that there are young people who live a good distance from the high school and have to rely on LRTA, and they can't afford a bus pass, so they have to walk, and it's a long walk, and it, you know, obviously is an issue. Now, I think it's great that we have the option and the ability to leverage the LRTA. Those buses are already on the streets. It makes perfect sense for us to try to leverage them as a means of transportation for our students. But if we have students who can't afford a bus pass, we ought to do something about that. And whether it's, you know, finding putting some kind of means test in place to provide the pass to just those students who truly have need, or providing one to everybody, doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is we want to make sure we address those students who really can't afford a monthly bus pass. So, you know, I'll leave it up to you, Mr. Superintendent, as to how to do that, but I think it's a real need in our school system, and a real need for our high school, and we should look into it.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? Not all in favor, all opposed, so voted. The next motion is by Ms. Martin. Request that the administration provide the committee with an update on plans to accommodate the middle school bubble for fiscal year 2017-2018.
Thank you.
Second by
sorry.
Mr. Hoey. Ms. Martin.
Just looking to get an update on an issue, obviously, that we've been talking about for a great time now, and to see exactly what the plan is moving forward for the next school year.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, all opposed, so voted. The next motion of the evening is by Mr. Hoy. Request that the superintendent conduct a review of safety and security in our schools. Seconded by Mr. Gignac. Mr. Hoy.
Thank you. I just found out we're spending about $1.3 million on security in our high school, and I just want the superintendent to give us some thoughts, maybe go to a subcommittee. I think they should go to a subcommittee. There's some things I want to say tonight that I shouldn't say in public yet. So I would like to get a subcommittee maybe at the high school, because there's a lot of security issues and breaches that I've seen on security that I want to talk about. So I think I'd be better off maybe getting this to a subcommittee like the high school, or maybe something under Ms. Durkin. But I think we have a lot to discuss, and the superintendent could definitely, I've had a lot of discussions with him over security, so that's what I'm looking for.
So you'd like to refer this matter to which subcommittee? Lowell High School
I
subcommittee?
would like a Lowell High subcommittee, because most of my issues about the security are around the high school. Resource officers, I mean, like I said, I think some of the things I want to talk about, I'm better off in front of a subcommittee, that's all.
Okay, and that's seconded by Mr. Gignac. You good with doing that? Discussion on the motion to refer to the subcommittee, Mr. Gignac?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just as a part of this response from the superintendent, I believe the prior school committee, or even maybe 2 school committees ago, approved putting out to bid a safety and securities assessment district-wide, and I don't think that ever happened. So if we could just get a report on did it happen? Oh, okay. Can we see that?
I would refer you to the legal department.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, all opposed, so voted. Mr. Gendry, can you just take the chair for a minute? Just tell him on something.
Okay, next on the agenda is subcommittee reports. We have the report of the Joint Finance and Support Services Subcommittee. I don't know who would like to provide the report, Mr. Gignac or Ms. Doherty. Maybe we can both do it. We'll go ladies first.
Okay, I guess I'll just do a brief overview, and then my colleague, Mr. Gignac, can add in anything I left out. So we did have a meeting of the Joint Finance and Student Services Subcommittees. That was on Monday, March 23rd, and that included Robert Gignac as chairperson of the Finance Subcommittee, along with Steve Gendron and myself, and Gary Frisch as the administrative representative of the Finance Subcommittee, along with the Student Support Services Subcommittee, which I chair, and along with members Andy Dakota, Mr. Gignac, and Janine Durkin was the administrative representative. I mentioned Mr. Gendron, right? Mr. Hoey and Ms. Martin were also in attendance at the meeting. So Mr. Dakota from the Transportation Department presented us with information, a draft plan to go to a 5-zone busing system. We currently have 2 zones and 6 citywide schools, and we are using 62 regular education buses and busing 6,000 students. By looking at the entire city and rezoning our neighborhoods to 5 zones and taking away the 6 citywide schools, Mr. Dakota expressed that we would be able to increase the number of students we bused from 6,000 to closer to 10,000 to be able to be bused without incurring additional costs because of the efficiencies we would gain by these bus routes. So we talked quite a bit about the complexity of making a change like that, going from a 2-zone to a 5-zone, and the difference of losing the citywide schools, trying to have parity. And the discussion led to a motion to refer this for further investigation and to work with the city, because the city is our major collaborator, to come up with whether this is a feasible plan or what are some other options we might have. And one thing about this change is it would keep us in compliance with the desegregation agreement that we have. So that, you know, that was a positive for me. I felt strongly about that. Another part of the meeting was to look at just specifically the transportation cost estimates for busing students to Collie if the high school were to be located out at the Collie area of the city. And just for that piece alone, that would take 46 buses to transport 2/3 of our students. We're looking at about 2,000 students from the high school who currently live within walking distance of the downtown location, but would need to be transported out to Collie. That pricing of $3.2 million, Mr. Dakota just projected that would probably go up by $500,000 or $500,000 in 10 years. You know, every year it's going to go up a little bit. There's no way to really project what that would end up costing, you know, exactly, because it's in the future. But if we did this rezoning thing, there would be a way to fold those students in that transportation into that. So that's like the gist of the major things that came out. He also provided us with the K-12 student population by zip code, so we could look at where our students come from in the neighborhoods across the city. Because obviously we can project out, we know the bodies we have in preschool and kindergarten today, you know, they're going to be with us, hopefully, through the whole 12 years of their education, and we can start to look at what those numbers would be like in terms of transportation. And the last time I think we did this was maybe 10 years ago, and it was very disruptive even at that time. We changed some school start and stop times. So, I mean, everybody at the meeting, and I think, understands that this is a very complicated endeavor that we're talking about doing. But if we can save money and be more efficient in transporting our students, it's a win-win. We're not in the transportation business, we're in the education business. But we also need to balance that with the school choice options that we have, and with the citywide schools and the theme schools, and how we can still provide some of that flexibility for our families while also spending less time on buses and crossing the city. So I don't know if I missed anything big, but that's my overall of the meeting.
Mr. Gignac, then Mr. Hoey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Doherty, you did a phenomenal job. I just want to add, you know, Mr. Dakota's presentation was great, and it was great to see a draft of what in the direction that we could go in. And I just wanted to mention that there were a number of speakers that appeared before the joint subcommittee, all of which spoke in favor and urged the subcommittee and the school committee to provide busing for high school students regardless of the location of the new Lowell High School. And I think that's a part of what triggered Mr. Gendron's motion for the bus passes. But also I just wanted to emphasize something that Ms. Doherty had mentioned. You know, the draft rezoning proposal included some key factors, neighborhood zones, school bell times, and maintaining compliance with the voluntary desegregation plan. I think it's something that the district has been looking for a number of years, and it's great that we have a proposal that we can work from. And it's something that is going to take some time. It's not going to be a quick process, but we hope that it is as painless as possible. But I look forward to continuing to go down this road and to hopefully, you know, all of our students across the city will benefit from this somehow. So thank you, and thank you for the administration for putting this forward. Oh yes, and there was a motion made by Ms. Doherty to move forward with the feasibility of this proposal and for the superintendent to report back with more recommendations. That was seconded by Mr. Gendron. So I'll bring that forward as a motion for the full committee.
All right. Do you want to hear the speakers first, and and then we'll take that up?
Sure.
All right, Mr. Hoey.
Thank you. I just want to say a few things. First of all, I keep hearing the word plan that night, and it was really just an idea. Mr. Dakota has been doing 2 jobs for, I guess, a lot of years. I just got here a year ago. I don't think he's a professional person when it comes to transportation. It's going up to near $11 to $12 million we're going to be spending on it. I think the city is responsible for it anyways. I think they should, we should send all our thoughts to them and let them figure it out. because Mr. Dakota also mentioned on a show called City Life that the school committee was all for the desegregation plan of, I think he was talking about of 1964 or 1967, Judge Garrity's fourth busing plan, which was a lie because I'm not for that. I think this is the time that we go full neighborhood schools. I'm bringing this back because I sat with a man at George Cooler Harris, talked about it. 40 years ago he was talking about it. I think time has come. And I think you need to push the city, Mr. Mayor, and get our city solicitor to finally come back and tell us what the law is. I don't believe anybody can find it. There's nothing. It's just like Article 97. No one can find it. I'd like to see it found. That's all. So I am against that. I think we should be neighborhood schools. So I want that said. And I know he had permission to be on TV, but I'm thinking the guy's trying to do two jobs, and we have to look at that. I think there's an issue with that right now. So with that said, I'm happy. Thank you.
Thanks. Any further discussion? Mr. Gendron?
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, I agree. I think Mr. Dakota did an excellent job. Mr. John Dakota, Mr. Andy Dakota did a fine job as well, but John was the leader of the show. And it certainly is an idea, but it's an idea that has had a fair amount of thought and work put into it. So I want to thank him and the staff for doing that. And the beautiful thing about the plan is that we can maintain the desegregation of the schools and have neighborhood schools. We can have our cake and eat it too, if we are careful about how we do that. So I am completely in favor of desegregation of the schools. I think it's a real asset to Lowell to have that diversity within our schools, and I think we want to maintain that. But if we can do that and also do neighborhood schools, then I think it's a win-win because you know, it's been a frustration for a lot of people in Lowell for a long time. A young family buys a new house and the school's around the corner and this is great, my kid can walk around the corner, then they find out they have to bus them across the city. And I feel that, but you know, obviously there have been reasons we've done that in the past. But I think that we are looking at a plan here, or an idea here, that's the beginning of a plan where we can do both. So that's why the committee brought forward that motion, unanimously supported that motion to have you take the next step and go forward and turn this idea into a plan so that down the road, you know, not tomorrow, but maybe a couple of years down the road, we can implement this. Thank you.
Ms. Doherty?
Sorry, I just want to add one thing that Mr. Gignac reminded me of. When we're talking about trying to bus more of our students, it really hit me that I didn't realize that right now, middle school students who live 1.5 miles away are supposed to walk. That seems like a good distance for me, especially when some of our city streets, the sidewalks aren't always shoveled. And the elementary kids, it's 3/4 mile. So if we can cut that down and, you know, do a better job of transporting our children, it really does make sense on so many levels. Just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Mr. Hoy?
Oh,
I'm sorry, Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you. As I said last time during the subcommittee, it's definitely the time, because you said the last time that busing was reviewed was quite a while ago. And I think even if we didn't have a new high school to build or anything like that, I think it's the time to review our bus routes and study them. We do not have in-house know-how for that. And the best way to do it is to get professionals, hire a professional to do that. And I would be very grateful if this committee would have a motion to authorize us to request from the city council and the city manager to have a feasibility study done. The cost of that is usually, you know, it's not excessive in the sense of hundreds of thousands of dollars. It can be manageable, but we have neither the funds to do that, nor are we responsible to spend for transportation. That comes all under the city side, and they have the authority to do that. And if, you know, when we do have extra funds, we turn them over back to the city at the end of the year, just like we did last year. We had $600,000. We turned them over to the city, so maybe they can use part of that funding a small part of it to do a feasibility study. But that's a motion that has an authorization that has to come from you to authorize us to go ahead and appear in front of the city council to request that, or the city manager to request it.
I'd like to make that motion.
Okay.
Can I get a second?
Any discussion on the motion?
No, I do want to discuss it a little bit.
Okay.
There's nothing against Dakota, especially Andy. I think Andy's one of the nicest guys I've met so far in this job. How's that? But going back to Mr. Dakota, the guy's holding 2 jobs. I don't think he's capable of doing a great job when it comes to transportation. So with that said, I think this motion, we go get pros to look at it. Let them fix the issue. Because I really think when we look into busing, you're going to find out that there's issues that are bothering me right now. We're worrying about the new high school. I'm worrying about like a school like the Pine School. It's a citywide school. And I see elementary kids come in the morning in a bus, and then I see the middle school kids come in the bus. But on the way home, guess what? We have 2nd graders and 3rd graders going home with 8th graders, okay? So there's an issue I think the school committee should fix. And there's more issues. There's no monitor in your bus. They'll tell you, oh, we got cameras. Well, our vice principals are spending all kinds of hours with maybe 10 or 15 sheets every day with bus complaints and bus problems, and they're not being addressed. And we're worrying about 5 or 6 years down the road for the busing that's going to Collie when we got big busing issues right now. Thank you again.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? I'd like to speak on the motion.
Chair recognizes Mayor Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can appreciate the work that Mr. Dakota put into the report that he put before the school committee or the subcommittee last week. I think when I spoke to Mr. Dakota, he told me the buses just for Collie would be 3.5 million, but whether it's 3.5 million or 3.2 million, I think it's still a lot of extra money that we really do not have. We spent in this year's budget, or we've appropriated in this year's budget, about 7.8 million for busing. And I believe the projection for next year is for 8.8, 8.9. So it's reasonable to expect that the cost for busing is going to go up a lot more than $500,000 over the next 5 or 10 years. It's going to go up substantially. And I think that when you look at the 5 districts or the 5 zones, it's very fair for the Belvedere zone, it's very fair for the Highlands and for Pawtucketville. But I think it's unfair, or it limits the options that people in Centerville have. And I think it limits the options that people in South Lowell and the Sacred Heart area have as well. And so I don't think it's fair to those 2 sections of the city, the 5 zones as we have them. And on top of that, I think that there's other things to consider, which is, you know, Mr. Superintendent, would we need more teachers if we did that?
The plan calls for most of the school to be transformed to K through 8. And when we look at staffing of K through 8, it's always higher needs than a K through 4 and then 5 through 8. We have that we have the real numbers to show it. The Bartlett staffing model and the Pine Arch staffing model are costlier than the regular elementary K through 4 and middle 5 through 8, only because of the scheduling issues.
So would you care to estimate as to how many extra teachers we would need if we were to implement that plan?
Can't give you the exact estimate, but we will be very happy. I know for sure there will be more because of the staffing. We'll have to need more allied arts and to help them in staffing. When you have only 2 strands as they do now, and Mr. Holtz is still here, he'll tell you it's really difficult to schedule, and that's why he needs his allied arts. He hangs on to them daily. And when you look at the number that that school would have as allied arts and all the other bodies that he needs to accommodate the scheduling requirements for prep time and common planning time, it's higher than when you have more 4, 6. Like when you have in the middle schools, we have 6 strands. It becomes a little easier because it's the same team. So there will be for sure more. I can't tell you exactly how much more, but we'll be happy to give you that. That's part of looking at that year.
would it be fair to estimate that it would be more than 24 extra teachers?
What do you think? Yeah. The curriculum who's probably more knowledgeable at scheduling than most of us is saying you're probably looking more around 15 more
Okay.
teachers.
So I just point that out because I think that the transportation issue is a complicated issue. And for the citywide schools, I mean, are we going to maintain those? And so if you say no, that you're not going to maintain those any longer, I guess I think that what the Colley thing does is it disrupts every parent and every household that has kids in it. And I don't know that that's fair to do that. But I do think this. I think we spend a lot of money on transportation, and I do think it would be worth hiring or looking into hiring a transportation engineer to take a look at whether or not we're doing the busing most efficiently. And so I would support doing that. But I think that the only reason I came down here to speak is just to point out that this is not a simple issue at all. It's a very, very complicated issue, and it's probably an issue that is going to require, at the end, a lot of political fortitude on behalf of the school committee. And it is an issue that the city council would just be putting on. In other words, it's 3.5 extra million in busing, and say it goes up more than that, all right, by the time we're done. And then what the city council would be doing is putting the onus on the school committee to come up with another plan that they would need a lot of political fortitude in order to implement, and that is not the city council's problem. That would be the school committee's problem. So I just think that everybody should realize that. I'm not sure that it would be fair for the city council to put that kind of pressure on the school committee going forward. But I do support at least taking a look at how we do transportation, if only to see if we can do it more efficiently and maybe save some money down the road.
We have a motion on the floor that's been seconded to request the city council to authorize a feasibility study to study transportation. Does that capture the essence of your motion, Mr. Hoey? Any further comment on that? I wonder if we should have a little bit more meat on the bone before we go to the city council and request a feasibility study. It's my only thought. I mean, I agree that ultimately we need to do that, but I don't know if we know what we're asking for yet. I feel like we need to take another step with this idea. Mr. Gignac?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's kind of where I was going to go with it. But the way this meeting has been going, I was going to hold back. But perhaps we could change the motion to request the superintendent develop an RFP or whatever it is to figure out what the cost is going to be, and then decide whether or not that's something the school committee wants to bring forward to the city council. I think that might be the most prudent way to go.
Yes, Ms. Doherty.
I think we have a motion on the floor. We've recognized that we haven't looked at our transportation issue in 10 years. We all agree that we need a professional to come in and look at it. I don't know why we would delay in asking for the funding to get somebody to come in and help us. That person's not going to come in and just come up with a plan without getting some feedback from us about what our priorities are, concerns. I think we should move forward.
Okay, so there was a suggestion to amend the motion to request, rather than send it to the city council, request an RFP, request that the superintendent draft something to send to the city council.
Well, the city's council is going to want to know how much it's going to cost, and if we sit there and say it's not going to be that much, I mean, even probably the mayor would even vote against that. You know,
Mr. Superintendent, did you want to comment?
Right.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, maybe that would solve the between the two, the motion, the amendment. Whether we started or the city started, we work together in developing an RFP. We never do an RFP without the city. We work with the city to do an RFP. So my whole thing is not necessarily to just go and ask them for funds. They're going to want to know how much it is, obviously. But I think if we go and work with the city, to develop an RFP, procurement office, they do all of our RFPs, and then take that. I just wanted everybody to recognize that it isn't something that we can afford, definitely not in this budget, but we do recognize the need to do it as soon as possible.
Okay. Any further comment? Okay, roll call on the motion?
Mr. Gendron?
Yes.
Mr. Gignac?
Yes.
Mr. Hoey?
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Dakota?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
7 yeas, approved.
Just wanted to hit the gavel.
Just did motion, just nothing happened. Yeah. Okay, can we have a motion to accept the report of the subcommittee as a report of progress by Mr. Gignac, second by Mr. Hoey. Discussion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted. Next, under reports of the superintendent. The first item is the tutoring services offered by the Dharma Center. Is there any discussion on that? If not, we'll move on to the next one, which is a community service learning program update. Any discussion on that item? The third is the quarterly reports on motions. Any discussion on that report? The chair would entertain a motion to accept the reports of the superintendent as reports of progress by Mr. Dakota, second by Mr. Hoey. Discussion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted. Next, under new business, we have a vote on interdistrict school choice. Well, that's already been voted on. And next is the approval of a study proposal. We have a motion to approve by Mr. Hoey, seconded by Mr. Dakota. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Gendron?
Yes.
Mr. Gignac?
Yes.
Mr. Hoey?
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Dakota?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
7 yeas, approved.
Next,
Mr.
under...
Mayor?
I'm sorry, Mr.
I'm sorry,
Chairman.
I just wanted to, if you would allow me a little indulgence, I just wanted to mention that community service report that was developed by Ms. Desmond. I think it's an outstanding report, and it really shows the advances we've made in our school district with regard to community service. Our community service hours donated by the district has been increasing every year, and this is another example of how, we in Lowell, it's not just about education of the child, but it's about education of being a member of the community. And I think it's an outstanding report, and it's reflective of outstanding work at all of our schools.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, under convention and conference requests, we have 7 on the agenda this evening. Do we have a motion to approve all 7 by Ms. Doherty, seconded by Mr. Dakota? Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Gendron?
Yes.
Mr. Gignac? Mr. Hoey?
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Dakota?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
6 present, 1 absent, approved.
Next, under professional personnel, we have UTL donated sick leave days. The members of the United Teachers of Lowell hereby donate 45 sick leave days to Donald Lamarche of the Butler School Food Service. We have motion approved by Mr. Hoey, seconded by Ms. Martin. Discussion, roll call.
Mr. Gendron?
Yes.
Mr. Gignac? Mr. Hoey?
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Dakota?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
7 yeas, approved.
And also, the members of the United Teachers of Lowell hereby donate 55 sick leave days to Sarah Ross, a Bartlett School teacher. Motion approved by Mr. Hoey, seconded by Ms. Martin. Discussion. All in favor? All opposed? Oh, I'm sorry, roll call.
Mr. Gendron?
Yes.
Mr. Gignac?
Yes.
Mr. Hoey?
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Dakota?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
That concludes the regular agenda. There is we did post, the city clerk posted on, I guess on Monday, a meeting notice to go into executive session at the conclusion of this meeting. Do we have a roll call vote to go into executive session?
Mr.
By
Gendron?
Mr. Hoey, seconded by
Yes.
Mr. Gignac.
Mr. Gignac? Mr. Hoey?
Yes.
Mayor Kennedy?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. Dakota?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
Approved. 7
School-
yeas approved.
And the school committee will be adjourning from that executive session.
Alrighty. Oh, do you want it?
Thank you.
I have a ton of them at work.
You do?
Yeah, it's a good pen. It's a nice sturdy one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they, I think it's
Case
an
not
old one.
closed? No?
Yeah.
All right, good.
Carolyn like had some extra, so I throw them and then they come in handy, you know?
I'm the only one who by the way, he's not giving 3 minutes. So 2 minutes included all of those interruptions. Because I do find myself. We haven't really met up to now, but I would like. By the way, I brought Daniel. Do you know what I?